Greetings, well wishes, and salutations. I'd like to welcome you all back to the Nuclear Dad Blogcast, where we focus on the three pillars of fatherhood: family, faith, and finance. I am your host and conductor, E.C. McKeever, aka the Nuclear Dad. Today's episode is sponsored by none other than the Daditude Journal and the Romance Journal, available on Amazon. Now, in true Nuclear Dad fashion, I need you to sit back, relax, take your shoes off, put your feet up, get something cool to drink, get something good to eat, and enjoy the ride, because we're about to blast off. Now, today's episode is a little different. This is called Facing the Shadows, the darker side of fatherhood. And we're going to dive into a topic that isn't often discussed, but is crucial for understanding the full spectrum of fatherhood, and that is the darker side. Now, granted, fatherhood brings tons of joy and loads of fulfillment, but it can also expose us men to significant emotional and psychological challenges. And in this episode, we're going to aim to provide some support, some strategies for all you dads out there who may be facing these struggles. And we're going to cover a topic that we cover a lot: mental health issues, personal failures, the weight of responsibility, family conflict, and navigating your own identity and purpose. Now let's start by exploring how fatherhood can impact your mental health. Let's unpack this. Now, mental health challenges are a real reality for most of us fathers, including postpartum depression. I know we don't hear it a lot, but fellas, we can have postpartum depression, as well as anxiety and chronic stress. Now, I know society often expects us men to be the rock of the family and stoic, but that can also prevent us from seeking the help that we might need. We may look at it as a weakness, a shortcoming, a thorn, and we may feel less than manly admitting that we need help, professional help. Now, postpartum depression in fathers is sometimes referred to as paternal postpartum depression, and it can manifest in symptoms such as irritability, withdrawal, and feelings of hopelessness. And in times like that, we may need to we have a sense of isolation, and we may believe that we need to maintain a facade of strength, but the stigma surrounding men's health can exacerbate these feelings, making it harder for them to reach out for support. And addressing these issues involves recognizing the signs early and understanding that seeking help is a strength, not a weakness. Therapy, support groups, and open conversations with partners can provide significant relief. There's times that just talking about it gets it off your chest. Believe it or not, this podcast is cathartic for me. Now, a psychologist that specializes in paternal mental health can provide valuable insights into how men can navigate these challenges. And they can also discuss effective coping mechanisms, the benefits of therapy, and how to break the stigma around men's mental health. And sometimes the real issue is us actually admitting that we need to go talk to somebody. But whether that person is a professional or not a professional, or maybe you need to run this episode back a couple times or look into the archives of some of the earlier episodes dealing with mental health. I give tons of resources on this platform for men going through things like this. This is the first time we actually touched on paternal postpartum, but as far as mental health goes, we talk about that kind of stuff all the time over here, because I understand that there's not a lot of people who will admit that men need help in this area. And fellas, it's okay. You don't have to tell anybody if you don't want to, but also I want you to think about being open to the idea that maybe you don't have all the answers. But I can guarantee that the answer is not at the bottom of a bottle, and it's not at the end of a joint. It's not in the bong tongue rip, it's not in the line of booger sugar, none of these things are going to help with these mental health issues. If anything, it's going to make it worse. So think about it. If you need help, slide in my DM. I'll be an unbiased party. I'll be a listening ear. You can always reach out to thenucleardad.com. Shoot me an email. Instagram, The Nuclear Dad. Jump in my DM. Facebook, The Nuclear Dad. Like the page. Send a message. If you need to reach out to me, I'm here for you, man. This is what I signed up for. Beyond paternal postpartum, some of the mental health issues that we face may be involving personal failures and regrets. Because I know that we often grapple with feelings of failure and regret, which can stem from career setbacks or personal life choices or parenting decisions. These feelings can be overwhelming and sometimes paralyzing. But it'll help if you can identify and acknowledge feelings of failure and regret, and that's the first step towards overcoming them. It's essential to practice self-compassion. Take it easy on you. Self-compassion and understanding that everyone faces setbacks. You're not alone. We're not perfect. We're not robots. We're men. But we're not perfect. And I know we may feel regret for not spending enough time with our children, or making poor financial decisions, or not achieving career goals that we had set for ourselves. But turning these feelings into opportunities for growth involves setting realistic goals, seeking constructive feedback, and learning from past mistakes. I want to emphasize that failure is an integral part of growth, and that failure can be spun into a positive experience. You know, turn lemons into lemonade. I understand that there are times where the weight of responsibility can feel like a burden because it's immense. The immense responsibility of being a provider and a protector, it can lead to significant, sometimes detrimental stress and burnout. And we often feel the need to constantly be strong and dependable, but who are we going to lean on when we feel weak? It's okay to admit that this is a lot. But you know what they say, pressure makes diamonds, right? And I know that balancing work and family life can be incredibly stressful for us, especially when we feel a strong sense of duty to provide for our families. It makes us feel like less than men if we're short on a bill, or we can't afford to have certain family experiences. But you know, this is what leads to burnout, and it's characterized by exhaustion and irritability and just an overall lack of fulfillment. But I want you to think about learning some time management techniques, such as prioritizing tasks and setting boundaries and delegating responsibilities, because this can help alleviate some of those burdens. Now, a big issue that we have sometimes, as much as we love our wives, those complicated creatures, the women folk, family conflict. Now, I call my wife my beautiful headache, and she knows it to be true. Just like I get on her nerves, she gets on my nerves, and that's okay. I think that's part of the agreement, right? We're never going to see eye to eye, but family conflicts, man, it's a serious thing, and that's one of the main reasons. It's one of the bigger reasons that we can sometimes go through the things that we go through. Unresolved family conflict, whether with your partner, with your lady, with the in-laws, or with the children, it can create a toxic environment, and it can significantly impact your well-being. And certain conflicts, big or small, they can arise from various different sources. It could be different parenting styles, financial stress, or just general lack of communication. But these conflicts, they start to create over time a tense and unhealthy home environment. And the kids can feel it. You may not say it. You may try to save face in front of them, but kids aren't dumb. What they lack in communication, they make up for in emotional intelligence. Kids are very perceptive. And these toxic environments, these toxic situations, they affect everybody involved. Now, strategies for conflict resolution could include active listening, empathy, and seeking compromise, knowing when to pick your battles. Because it's crucial to maintain open lines of communication and also be willing to seek help when necessary. You're never going to not hear me talk about getting professional help when needed. I am a certified life coach. Just putting it out there. Not trying to sell you, but if you need somebody to talk to, maybe I'll open up my calendar and provide some offerings for people who really need to talk. I mean, there was a time when my wife and I did not see eye to eye on some things. There were times where we butt heads. Sometimes we still butt heads. But I've learned a lot on this journey that we've been going on called family and marriage. And I know, sometimes I get upset and sometimes I may raise my voice, but I never belittle her. I never call her out her name. I never make her feel like she's less than she's worth, because I know it's not right and it's not true. And it's not the man that my father raised me to be. There are times where I gotta take a step back because, we don't always communicate effectively. That's normal. Nobody is perfect. No family is perfect. No marriage is perfect. And if there are, they're lying. I don't care who they are. You see this wonderful husband and wife, and they're a dynamic duo, which we all are. But on the surface, it seems like they have a storybook family life, ideal settings. They're always smiling. Trust me, those are the main ones. The families that argue the most are the realest because they get their emotions out. Maybe not in the healthiest way, but they're true with themselves and they're true with their emotions and they're true with the situations that they're going through enough to be like, you know what? I don't like this and I'm going to tell you why right now. But you also have to be careful because you can't take words back. Once feelings are hurt, you can't bring it back. You can't rewind the clock. Once you shoot the shot, it's gone. And that's why I put so much emphasis on choosing your words wisely and being slow to anger and slow to speak and slow to judge. Because again, you can't take those words back. And there's been situations where people's entire lives have been ruined because of something that was said out of emotion. And some people, when they get to that point and they have dug themselves into a ditch, they can't take it back. But they could also be too prideful to say, I'm sorry. Even if the apology doesn't work, it doesn't hurt to try. Let's talk about navigating identity and purpose. I know many of us guys, we struggle with our sense of identity and purpose, especially when our lives change dramatically after having kids. It's not so much of a change after getting married, but it's when the kids come into play. And sometimes the kids come before marriage. No judgment. That happened to me. And then when we got pregnant with our second kid, we hurry up and got married. But that's a story for another time. And yes, things change mentally when you find out that your partner is pregnant. But when that child is born, there's a seismic shift of emotion and the weight of responsibility hits you like a ton of bricks. And then everything changes. And then all of a sudden, with that moment of coming into fatherhood, it leads to a significant shift in your own personal identity and purpose. And we might find ourselves questioning our roles and aspirations as things adjust to new responsibilities. So it's important for us to redefine our sense of self and find meaning in our roles as fathers, husbands, and men. So there's a great balancing act between personal aspirations and parental duties, and it's not always easy. It's definitely going to be a challenge, but it's essentially vital for our overall well-being that we figure out this balancing act. Now we have to find some kind of activity that we can engage in that will align with our interests and values while also fulfilling our responsibilities. As a kid, I played baseball, and my father was one of those fathers where he worked a lot. He had a lot of responsibility. He had a lot on his plate, and he never once not fulfilled his responsibility. But in doing that, what was left to the side, what was put to the side was me. He was always working, so he never really got a chance to go to any of my games, maybe one or two. But I always said that when I had a child, I would be there during the sporting events, during the school functions. And I created a vision board when my son wasn't even a year old. And one of the pictures that I found in a magazine was a father coaching his son in baseball. He was kneeled down, looking his son in the eyes, and he was talking to him. As they say, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And that picture just spoke to me, so I cut it out and I put it on my vision board. But now I can proudly say that I am the coach of my son's baseball team, and I was the coach on his basketball team. Assistant coach, but still coach. When the game's on, when the practice is underway, I'm right there. Never missed a practice, never missed a game. And today I had a realization. Today we had a baseball game, which we won 5-0. Go Green Hornets. But I had a realization when I was kneeled down talking to my son during the game. That picture from my vision board flashed in my mind. So I'm getting to relive my childhood, but from the viewpoint of what I wished my father could have been to me while I was playing sports. And I know he didn't do it on purpose, but I know he had things he needed to do. So there's no love lost. I still hold my father in high regard. But I don't want my sons to look back and say, when it was time for my game, where was dad? Because as much as I don't hold it against them, it still hurts seeing all the other fathers out there, and sometimes mothers. My mom was there, and I love her for that. But what I really wanted, what I really needed, was to see my dad in the stands, screaming and yelling and calling my name, cheering for me. And my son gets upset because I kind of put him on blast. When he does good, I yell at him, "Way to go!" And when he doesn't do so good, I yell at him, "Keep your eyes on the ball." But he gets consistency across the board. If nothing else, he gets consistency. One thing that I can say, that I'm proud to say, that I'm elated to say, up to this point in my boy's life, whenever it mattered, I was always there. Rain, sleet, snow, shine, or hail. School called, wife called, I was there. And nobody can take that from me. Now, yeah, this episode was about the dark side of fatherhood. And there's been dark times. And there will be dark times in the future. We can't prevent that, nor can we predict it. But all we can do is try our best during those dark times to rise to the occasion and not fall victim to our lower selves. Because the children, the babies, the wives, the ladies, they are dependent upon us to be that pillar of strength. And sometimes, even the pillars of strength need a brace to hold them up. And that's okay. That's no shot at you. That's no fault of you. That's just us coming to realization that we're humans capable of flaw, but we're doing our best. Now, that's all I got for you. We're going to try to end it at a quick 20 minutes. But as always, I want you to remember a few things. I want you to remember to stay focused, stay grounded. I want you to remember your mission. I want you to stay true. I want you to stay present. I want you to stay consistent. I want you to stay vigilant. I want you to stay diligent. And most importantly, I want you to stay cool. Nuclear Dad.